Okay, so I thought I'd try and upload a video to try and help you understand what the work is for you to be doing at home on the VLE, and basically go through what I was thinking when I was making these PowerPoints ready for lesson and what we'd have been doing if we were at school. So if you want to follow this along, you want to take notes, or you want to do the work that I said I would have expected you to do at this point, then that's absolutely fine. If you want to just watch this and then do work that kind of adds on to this, or extra reading about this kind of thing, then that's fine too. Basically, however you use this is best for you. I am going to be setting assignments on Microsoft Teams at some point, but as of right now, I don't know why that moved on. As of right now, I thought this might be the best way of trying to get some stuff across to everyone. I'm just going to open my window. So today I'm going to be talking about the Supreme Court and the impact that the Supreme Court has on American politics. The Supreme Court is obviously the third strain kind of thing on the American political system. So it is the judiciary. It fits again with the executive, who is Donald Trump, the president, and it fits with the Congress, legislature, the House of Representatives, and the Senate. So the judiciary is extremely important. It's really way stronger than the British Supreme Court, and the American Supreme Court has much more weight in the way that it interprets the Constitution and the precedents that it sets based off that, which I'm going to talk about later on. First of all, we need to talk about why we're doing this. So the question is, how significant is the Supreme Court and what are its functions? And that's the kind of direction that we're going to be moving in towards the end of this topic. So, first of all, the court system. Whoa, that was fast, I didn't do that. At the bottom you have the district courts. This is the lowest level in the federal system. If you need to go to court for whatever reason, it will go to the district court first. Whether it's a trial, whether it's a civil issue, they are in the district courts. There's 94 judicial districts in the 50 states and territories. They can't rule on whether a case was right or wrong. That means that no appellate jurisdiction means that they can't rule on whether cases were right or wrong in the past. They can only rule on what happens, and they are the original jurisdiction over most cases. Most cases only go to the district court and don't go any further, because most people don't either have the funds or they're happy to accept the district court decision. I don't know why this is moving on by itself, but let's stop that from happening. In the midsection, the blue section on here, there's the courts of the appeal. They are the intermediate level in the federal system. They sit in the middle. There's 12 regional circuit courts, including the District of Columbia circuit, and they only judge on the district court cases that have happened. They only judge whether the decision was right or wrong after appeal. So they don't judge based on new facts or anything like that. They only judge whether the decision was correct or not. And then, similar to that, if you're not happy with the Court of Appeal's decision, or you want to take it further, you take it to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court there's just one. It's the highest court in the federal system. There's 9 justices. They meet in Washington DC, and they have the power of judicial review. So they call it the certiorari process, whatever that is. It's Latin for something. But basically, it just means that they only review cases on a case-by-case basis, and they only check that the Constitution and the rule of law was applied appropriately. They can't judge on some cases. They can only judge based on precedents and the Constitution and whether the rule of law has been applied. They can't decide whether someone's guilty or innocent. That's not their job. You have no automatic right to having your case heard by the Supreme Court. Over 96% of cases that seek to be heard by the Supreme Court are rejected. They only hear cases if they are of major constitutional significance. They only do important cases. So the cases that they run on, and you can check every single case on their website. So if you've got, let's say 12 weeks free where you're not going anywhere and you've got nothing to do, if you check the Supreme Court website, you can see their judgments on the cases they run, and you'll notice by far, in all of them, they are mainly just really, really, really important cases. They don't rule on other cases at all. I'm going to see if I can stop this from just moving on. Setup. Why are you moving on? No, don't do that. No, don't do that. Right, see if that makes any difference. So, you need to know who the current judges are and who the appointments are and the appointments process. And you need to know why the Supreme Court, therefore, is important and why there's an argument whether it's actually independent or separate from the other sides of the American political system. So here they are. Lovely set of people. They all look so happy to be there. That's the 9 current Supreme Court judges. And you need to know them all. And you need to know why they are around. So, here we are. I'm glad I've got this fixed, so that's good. So, here are 8 people, but not all of these are still in the Supreme Court. I just wanted to take you through the bit of the history and explain why a president can have an impact on the Supreme Court based on this. So as you can see here, you've got Scalia in the top left, who was brought in by Reagan in 1986. You also had Anthony Kennedy, who also came in with Reagan in 1988. Oh, that's not Raymond Holt, that's Clarence Thomas, there you go. He was brought in by George Bush Sr. This was the old Supreme Court, and as you can see in the top here, Reagan, George Bush Sr., 3 Republicans. You got George W. Bush here, another Republican, and so you had a 4-4 split, Republican Democrat. I'm just checking now because I just want to check that he was actually. I know he was, but I'm just checking. Yeah. I don't know why, for some reason, I had an idea that wasn't true, but you know when you're questioning yourself. Well, I was questioning myself. So let's go back. So as I was saying, you have a 4-4 Republican Democrat split. When one of these people retires or dies, such as Scalia, they are replaced, and the person that has the main kind of vote and puts forward the main candidate to take over that person is the president. So as you can see, Neil Gorsuch was brought in by Trump, and here he is, Brett Kavanaugh was brought in again by Trump. And so you can see these president has to a certain extent has a lot of power within the Supreme Court because they decide who they're going to put in. Now, that's only 8. Number 9 is a Chief Justice, who's John Roberts in this case. He's been the Chief Justice since 2005. And basically, you need to know everything about each of these people to understand the way that they vote, why they can impact the way they vote, and etc., etc. So I'm going to give you some information about John Roberts first. So he was born in Buffalo, New York, on January the 27th, 1955. He went to Harvard and then went to Harvard Law School in 1979. He served as a law clerk for Judge Henry J. Friendly of the United States Court of Appeals, and etc., etc. But here's where it gets interesting. He was a special assistant to the Attorney General, U.S. State Department of Justice. He was the associate counsel to the President of Ronald Reagan. He was the White House counsel office from 1982 to 1986, again under Reagan. And at the same after that, he practiced law in Washington D.C. and he was made He was put into the United States Courts of Appeals for D.C. in 2003, and he was nominated by George W. Bush. So if we go back to our set of Chief Justices, you'll see that there's a 5-4 Republican to Democrat bias, which becomes important later on. Now, if we were in a normal lesson, I would then say, right, you need to know that kind of level of information for each of the rest of the Supreme Court. justices. So we would have had prizes for the best set of biographies, but can't really do that now. But I would like to stress that you need to know that kind of information for each one. So I would spend a lot of this time that you're in quarantine doing that task for now. That would be my next step anyway. I'm going to leave it there for today because I don't want to overload information. I don't want people to think that you should just be doing politics at one time, and I want to give you plenty of time to do those biographies and make sure that you've got them all in good detail. I will hopefully check back in either tomorrow or Wednesday with a new set of lessons and ensure that we go through some of the important things that I want to talk about. I am going to, instead of go off this PowerPoint, I'm going to upload a new PowerPoint which has important Supreme Court cases, and I'll go through those either tomorrow or Wednesday with you. But for now, up to the biographies section, kind of explain where I was thinking and explain what I'd like you to be doing for the first day of quarantine. Okay, I'm going to stop this here now.